everybody! I'm here today with a simple driving lesson on left turn confusions while driving. And I'm going to be telling you how to avoid them as well. So I'll be going over the most popular or most common confusions. I shouldn't call them popular because people don't choose these confusions, but they're definitely the most common ones, and then how you can avoid them, okay? And I'm going to demonstrate with each one. So the first one is right of way, okay? So essentially people, when they're making a left turn, especially when they're making a left turn, they're confused with regards to the right of way. Who has the right of way? And there are a whole bunch of rules that go like, you know, in a specific order with regards to right of way and figuring out who has the right of way. But there's a basic one that you should follow. Like if you know the basic ones, then you should be okay to start, because the more complex ones you'll learn in time. But as long as you know the basic ones, you should be okay. Essentially, the most basic one is who got there first. So who was at the intersection first? They have the right of way. Simple. Like that's number one. Simple, okay? And the second is going to be, you know, who is turning right. So if someone is turning right, they're gonna sort of take priority and will have the right of way over someone that is turning left or straight. Now this is basically what it comes down to, okay? Now that's at a stop sign. Now let's say without a stop sign, you know, I'm approaching a left turn without a stop sign over here. And let's say someone was in the oncoming lane turning right and I'm turning left, right? They have the right of way. They have the right of way. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna try and get to this intersection before this car over here. They're way behind me. So I'm gonna turn left. Let's say someone was turning right. Well, I gotta let them go. They have the right of way. Now that this imaginary person has turned, I can turn left. So when it comes to making a left turn, you kind of are last on the list. Unless you got to the intersection first, most of the time someone else is gonna have the right of way. And it goes more complex than this. I'm not saying this is the major right of way rule list. This is just a basic idea, but when it comes to making a left turn, you're pretty much last on the list for the most part, okay? Basically, that's basically it. So that's the first confusion. Who has the right of way? Number two is when to steer, okay? So when you're making a left turn, a lot of people don't know when to steer, okay? Now, a lot of people will think that you have to literally push the gas right as you start steering, and that's not exactly correct. You can probably make the turn that way, but you might end up steering in the wrong way. I'll demonstrate exactly when to steer. What you want to do is you want to essentially push the gas, and then a fraction of a second later, and this is coming from a stop, obviously, a fraction of a second later, you're going to start steering the wheel, okay? So I'll demonstrate. I'm approaching a stop sign right here. I'm gonna put my signal on, do my safety checks, blah, 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 okay? So what I'm gonna do, come to a complete stop. Now check this out. I'm going to push the gas and now steer, okay? And that's even with snow on the road. So my tires are spinning just a bit. In a regular situation, it would be like gas steer. It would be even faster, okay? Very simple and straightforward. Now I'm gonna make another left turn up ahead, and I'm gonna show you when to steer when you're not stopping, because this intersection does not have a stop sign. There's no one else here, so I'm not gonna have to stop. No pedestrians, no traffic, okay? I've done my safety checks. I'm approaching the intersection, so check this out. I'm starting to turn the wheel basically as my front wheels come really close to the intersection. I'm not starting before. I'm not starting when my front wheels are already past the intersection. I'm starting as they're right about to touch the intersection. And it all depends on the speed that you're going, but as a rule of thumb, that's gonna work most of the time. The third left turn confusion is gonna be how much to steer. Now, I'll give you an example over here, and take into account the fact that I am driving in the snow, so it's gonna be a little bit different in the sense of how much I'm gonna turn the wheel, okay? It's gonna be a little bit different, but check this out. As I'm turning right here, I turn the wheel about 75%, about 3/4 of a turn, okay? Regularly, it would probably be just a little bit less, but because of the snow, I was turning it just a touch more than usual. So what you need to do in order to get rid of this confusion of how much to steer or how much to turn the wheel is, sorry, I should have had some water before I filmed this video, is you actually have to practice, because with practice, you will figure out how much to turn the wheel, okay? So I'm gonna turn over here, okay? And as you can see, I turned the wheel a little bit less than 75% there, okay? But like I said, I'm in the snow, so it's a little bit different. So with practice, you'll figure it out, because if you steer too much, you're gonna steer a little bit less next time. Then if you steer too little, you're gonna find that sweet spot in between. And eventually, you're gonna know how much to turn the wheel without even thinking about it. You can see there's about 65% of a turn of the wheel to make that turn. And those are all regular intersections because, you know, depending, you might have a sharper turn, you might have a wider turn. Okay, and the last left turn confusion is with regards to the gap in traffic. So I'll give you an example as soon as this car passes over here. Hey, I think this is a guy that I just, at another intersection, I just saw him and we were like, who's here first? Who's here first? I think it was in a different video that I filmed though. I don't think it was in this video. Anyways, it was in the one that I just filmed actually. So you're gonna see that in another video. Or you might have already seen it. Anyways, the last confusion is a gap between traffic. So when to actually turn, when is there a big enough gap in between traffic? And like I said, that happens with practice. I wish I could tell you a hard and fast rule of thumb with regards to like, oh, when the car is 2 seconds away, 3 seconds. It all depends on the speed that they're driving, right? So I'm driving, let's say there was traffic in the oncoming lane. What I would do if I didn't know, if I was confused about the gap in traffic, when I could make a turn, through which gap in traffic, I would only make the turn when I was like way more than certain that I had enough space. So let's say I was about to turn here, I'm waiting to turn, there's traffic, and I see a car like way in the distance, way in the distance. Now I would turn, okay? Do my safety checks and turn at a regular speed. Then what you're gonna do is this, as you're driving, look through your rear view mirror, and you wanna see when that car passes. Okay, the car that you were waiting for, not that you were waiting for, but the next car in line in the gap in traffic, the car that you were focusing on for that gap, you want to see when they pass through that intersection. Obviously, you're still focusing on the road, but you want to see when they pass, okay? And that's going to give you a good idea of how much space you had there. And then you can use that to figure out if you were just okay, or if you can have a little bit more space. Meaning like if you can turn when there's a little bit less of a gap. Now remember, it's always better to have more of a gap than not enough of a gap, because if you have not enough of a gap, well, that leads to an accident. So it's always better to have too much of a gap. But you got to pay attention to you know, how much space you thought you had compared to how much space you actually had. And when you bring those two things together, it's essentially going to be showing you and telling you, it's going to be clearing up that confusion, basically. That's what it comes down to, okay? Very, very simple and straightforward. And that's it. In this video, I've gone over a simple driving lesson on some left turn confusions. And I've also told you how to avoid them while driving. And that's it. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below as a comment. And of course, be sure to subscribe for more great car and driving videos just like this one. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.